Passionate about politics? I bet you are. Everyone seems hypercharged these days when it comes to the topic, leading to debates, fights, and the dreaded Facebook unfriending. According to the Pew Research Center, the ideological gap between us is now larger than ever, doubling since 1994. So what happens when you take someone who identifies as a liberal and place them squarely on conservative turf? Former National Public Radio CEO Ken Stearns set out to find the answer to that question. His journey is amazing. Ken is here with details about his adventure, chronicled in the aptly titled Republican Like Me: How I Left the Liberal Bubble and Learned to Love the Right. And I'd like to welcome Ken to the program.
Thanks for having me on the show. Delighted to be here.
Yeah, so this is an incredibly, I guess, and it's indicative of our times, but something of a controversial book, a controversial topic, and a controversial move of your decision to go and spend time sort of, I guess, maybe touring around Republican red states and learning about people almost as if it was you were in a foreign country.
Well, in some ways, it's actually a really interesting formulation, which I haven't thought of before, but we're becoming so geographically and demographically divided. It almost is a little bit like going to a foreign country. I mean, I live in a, and this is sort of the genesis of the book, I live in a 93% Democratic ward, 100% Democratic House. I grew up Democrat, have been that all my entire life. And I began to realize, like so many others, that I was living in isolation from people on the other side. And I put the other side in quotes. So I consciously set out and said, you know, can I, as Atticus Finch said, if you want to understand someone, you have to see things from their point of view. And that's what I set out consciously to do.
Now, I do have to ask, how much of this is indicative of your experience in D.C. working with National Public Radio, as you talked about, versus perhaps some other people in other part of the country? And the reason why I ask is because there are a lot of swaths of the country where the line between red and blue, liberal and conservative, starts to get blurry.
Yeah, but it's getting less and less blurry today. Let me give you sort of two sort of background facts. Mm-hmm. One is just how we've divided ourselves. About 10 years ago, there were about 1,100 what are called landslide counties, counties that are 20% in favor of one side or the other. Mm-hmm. It's indicative sort of a line. Today, there are 2,500 of them covering 60% of the country. So we're dividing. We're actually sort of artificially dividing. The Washington Post did this poll during the last election cycle in Virginia, an evenly divided state. And they asked Trump voters, do you have any close friends or family members who are voting for Clinton? And they asked the same of Clinton voters. And think about it. I mean, in a circle, you know, in an entire circle, you have one person from the other side. And almost 60% of people on both sides said no. And that's just indicative of sort of what the political scientist describes as the big sort. We're really very much all over the country dividing ourselves. And that's a lot where this polarization comes from. It doesn't come from actually issue disagreement. That hasn't really changed in the last 25 years. It comes from the fact that we are increasingly angry over the same set of facts as before. And that's because we don't know the other side.
All right. Well, speaking of the controversy, you did write a very sort of condemning article in the Post about the way news media was viewed by some people in these red states and the way it was being handled in certain, I guess, more liberal bubbles.
Yeah. So I won't. It's interesting that you describe it as very condemning. I don't see it that way. I'm trying to see things from the other side and describe that. I mean, the problem we all face in our own bubbles, this is not actually liberals versus conservatives, we all have our own bubbles, is that we engage in groupthink. And things that seem important and obvious to us don't seem so obvious on the other side. And I raise the issue with respect to media. As you go out and talk to conservatives around the country, they feel patronized, they feel locked out of this national media conversation. I wanted to translate that back to my former colleagues in media and say, you know, we need to think a little bit differently about how we engage in this conversation, because the risk of not listening is the country continuing to fracture along ideological lines.
All right, well, give me an example, because you do have some really interesting stories about some of your adventures in different parts of the country. And the hunting story is great. I thought that was hilarious. But tell me some of your favorite stories that you came away with.
So when I say I learned to love the right, I mean it in almost a literal sense. I didn't learn to agree with everything I heard, far from it. But I did grow to admire and really love a lot of the people I met. I went to, I'll start with, I'm an agnostic Jew from Washington, D.C. My interactions with the evangelicals have been highly limited, pretty much dictated by Footloose and what I knew about Jerry Falwell. So I spent a lot of time in churches. I went to something called Urbana, which is a triennial gathering of evangelical youth, 15,000. I'm sort of, to go back to your metaphor, stranger in a strange land. And they weren't what I expected. I'm not entirely sure what I expected, but I didn't expect these kids to be talking about refugees, how to help them, not how to keep them out. Didn't expect them to be talking about Black Lives Matter. I didn't expect their sort of passion for service to, feed the hungry, house the homeless, help the people who live in the shadow. It was a very much sort of preconceived notion bursting exercise. And that happened a lot in all sorts of, I did go pig hunting and found I'm in Texas and found out I'm a terrible shot. Ended up shooting with a 8-year-old boy from Georgia who became my instructor. It was just this people I met along the way from Youngstown to Pikesville, Kentucky, that made this I think, worthwhile journey from my perspective.
That's very interesting, because one of the themes that I keep hearing as people digest and try to understand the last election and all of the rancor is somehow we as Americans have lost our humanity with each other. And it sounds like that was something that you definitely sought out.
Yeah, and I think it's right. I mean, I think so. It's I spent a year doing this, and I observed a lot of inhumanity on social media, and I met some. There's what's called the paranoid style in American politics. Richard Hofstadter wrote about that 60 years ago now, almost 50 years ago. It's alive and well. So I don't want to look at this through rose-colored glasses, but I don't think that's where most people sit. And I think we forget that when we focus on the extremes and don't remember that we have a lot more in common than we give credit to on a daily basis.
All right, well, Ken, thank you so much for joining us on the program and, of course, giving us some insight into your adventures and your book. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on the show. I enjoyed it.